Well, joining me now is the Mayor of Gaza City, Yahya Al-Sarraj. Thank you very much for joining us, Mayor Al-Sarraj. We know that extensive flooding has hit Gaza in the past week. What is the situation in Gaza City right now, and what are the most urgent challenges your residents are facing day to day?
Good morning. The situation in Gaza is still fragile and still difficult. However, we are experiencing less killing, less destruction after the start of the ceasefire, but the situation is still difficult and hazardous. During the past few hours and days, some killing has happened of children and civilian people, and the houses are still not safe, and many of them are in risk of being collapsed. The accumulation of solid waste is still in the city center and in the streets. The municipalities of Gaza cannot function as it should be because we lack everything. We lack the instruments, we lack the vehicles, and we have shortage of fuel, and we have shortages of salaries for the workers of the municipality. So the situation is still difficult. However, it's getting less difficult than before because during the war it was very critical and the killing was everywhere, and the starvation was a big problem. Now we are still waiting for the second phase and hoping that a lot of things will be allowed. We need building materials, we need cement, we need pipes for wastewater, for water networks, and we need a lot of vehicles to help us do our job as it should be and to support the people of Gaza. And during winter, the situation was too difficult and the flooding was everywhere, and we were in a bad situation. We couldn't save the people from this bad situation because we lack all the instruments that we need.
Mayor, we know more than 1 million Palestinians have been displaced during Israel's war, and with so much of the city's housing and infrastructure damaged, how close is Gaza City to a humanitarian collapse as winter conditions worsen?
Actually, when you pass by the streets and you see people are still living in tents, living in a terrible condition, terrible situation, people are living in buildings that is not safe, you feel very sorry and you feel very angry because we cannot provide any help for those people. When you see children in barefoots walking around playing with unsafe water and doesn't have a place to sleep in a warm condition, this leads to a lot of problems, and there's a risk of pandemics, diseases to spread around, and we call for all people in the world to come and do whatever they can. And the least we want the people to do is to open all borders, to allow everything with no restrictions, to help the people start their life again. You can't imagine how difficult the situation is and how bad the women and children are feeling, and every day they call for help, and almost nobody can provide them the help they deserve.
As mayor during wartime, how difficult has it been to keep basic municipal services running, from water and sanitation to emergency response?
During the war, it was too difficult for us to operate, and from the beginning of the war, we set 4 aims, 4 goals for our work. The first one is to provide water, and this is the most important thing, and it is still the most important item that needs to be provided. And the second one was to provide whatever we can of wastewater operations and cleaning. The third priority was to collect solid waste and transfer it to a safer place away from the community. And the fourth one was to try to open the roads because most of the roads were closed after demolishing of buildings, schools, churches, mosques, and everything in the city. So believe me, it was too difficult. We were searching for a drop of fuel to operate our vehicles and our instruments. And we were trying to find any quantity of water that is available. In many cases, we didn't have safe drinking water, and people were forced to drink unsafe water. The situation was too difficult, and we lost about 70 of our workers during this war, and 70% of them were displaced, were forced to be displaced outside the boundaries of the city. So you cannot imagine how difficult the situation was in Gaza during the war.
Mayor, you've led rebuilding efforts after previous conflicts. How does the scale of destruction this time compare, and what would meaningful reconstruction actually require?
The current war was, you cannot compare it with any other war previously against Gaza. I usually describe what happened as not a war. It's a one-sided aggression. It's like a very big machine of destruction, of killing that was moving around the streets of the cities of Gaza Strip, destroying everything in its way, killing every person they face with no reason. It's just the destruction and the killing, trying to force people outside Gaza Strip. They didn't succeed and they will not succeed, but really no words can describe what happened. No words can describe the current situation as well. And even we are living in Gaza and we know the scale of damage and destruction, but when I myself visit some neighborhoods and see in my own eyes what happened and the scale of destruction, I really feel very sorry and very angry. I didn't imagine that the scale of destruction was at this scale.
You mentioned you're currently waiting to see what happens with the second phase of the ceasefire. It's during that phase that hopefully the reconstruction of Gaza can happen in earnest. How hopeful are you that all those involved in the talks will agree on a plan to implement the next phase of the ceasefire agreement?
We have a lot of hope, but with cautious. We have been promised a lot of times that things will improve and the situation will be better. But until now, things are slowly moving and improving little by little. But however, we really hope that this time it will be implemented and all the promises will be fulfilled. We know that it's not easy, it will not be difficult, but we have a lot of hope and we will never lose hope. And people here are saying to us, we are here to stay, we are here to rebuild our city, our buildings, our homes, and we want Gaza to go back as it was and better, and we want to see our children living in peace and in a good situation, and we want to be part of this world and be treated as humans and as we have to be treated and to have our rights in this country.
Okay, Yahya Al-Sarraj, Mayor of Gaza City, thank you so much for joining us and the very best of luck with your work in Gaza City.